blood. We don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but we wrestle against principalities, power, spiritual wickedness in high places. Like somebody will say, Pastor, but I understand that when a man gets born again, he's free from any kind of demonic attack. Or there have been a question in the church several times when people will have to ask you, can somebody who is a Christian be possessed of the devil? I don't know whether you have ever had such question, but the truth of the matter is, it is a simple answer. A man who is actually a born again Christian cannot be possessed of the devil, because the word possession means total ownership. The word possession means total ownership. In another word, Jesus can own you and the devil also own you. So a man that is born again cannot, born again, spirit-filled, tongue-talking believer cannot be said to be possessed of the devil. Cannot be said to be possessed of the devil, because Jesus already has an ownership. Jesus already has an ownership of him, because he that is born of God has overcome the world. So Jesus already has an ownership of this vessel. So this vessel can no longer be called. There is nothing like a possessed believer. A demon-possessed believer. There's nothing like a demon-possessed believer, because Jesus can possess you and the demons will possess you. But I want you to also understand one thing, that there is a place where we call the demonic harassment. There is what we call the demonic harassment, or there are loopholes in our life where there is what we call harassment. Too many times, what we do not know, what we do not understand, what we do not understand about being born again and being operating in the world of demons is the fact that too many of us don't know that salvation is of 3 dimensions. Salvation is of 3 dimensions. The 3 dimensions of salvation. Number 1, we shall be saved. We were saved. Number 1, we were saved. Number 2, we are being saved. Number 1, we were saved. Number 2, we were being saved. Number 3, we shall be saved. Number 1, we were being saved. The 3 dimensions of salvation is: number 1, we were being saved. Number 2, we were saved. Number 1, we were being saved. Number 1, we were saved. Number 2, we are being saved. Number 3, we shall be saved. When we say we were saved, we talk about the spirits. When we say we are being saved, we speak of the soul. When we say we shall be saved, we speak of the body. In another word, we were saved. We were saved. How? By the Spirit. Ladies and gentlemen, when you got born again, your spirit got born again, not your soul. I repeat that again. The life that you got in salvation, it was the deliverance of your spirit man. That Bible called, there was an implant, removing the corrupt spirits that have been corrupted by sin and receiving the incorruptible spirit of Jesus. That was what happened in salvation. But when we talked about we are being saved, we talk about our soul. Hear me. The soul of a man is still going through salvation. Why? Because Romans chapter 12 verse 2 said, we are being transformed by the renewing of our mind. Our soul speaks of our 5 senses. Our soul speaks of our emotion. Our soul speaks of our reasoning. Our soul speaks of our smell. Our soul is not what was saved in salvation. What brought about the salvation of the soul? It is the continuous renewal of the mind. Be ye transformed. In the Romans 12, it says, be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So the soul of a man is still going through salvation. What does that mean? Every day you come to the church, every day you hear the word of God, it's actually renewing your mind and giving deliverance to your soul. Simply mean you can be born again and still think like an unbeliever. Am I talking to somebody this morning? Somebody can be born again and still think like what? An unbeliever. You can be born again and your senses still reason like the people of the world. because your soul is not going through the process of transformation. That is what it means that we are